And he's going to go get a crowd and an audience and a demographic that are not a traditional boxing demographic. He already has his own fans, Davis does. He's going to go siphon some of them from Jake Paul. And then he's even a bigger draw. It's like an avalanche. He's a bigger draw when he comes back to fight, whoever he chooses to fight next. That's only smart business. I would definitely advise him to do it. And that's why it's happening. We got Tank and we got Jake Paul. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a circus," and I don't know if I want to see it. I want to see it, and I understand it. So I don't get mad at a lot of things, especially when it comes to sports. People get upset. I seek understanding, and the reason I do that is because there's a business play and a reason that makes sense to me. I always understand business. But I understand what it is to be a fan too. I ride I straddle the fence between both so that I can communicate with both. I can communicate to the businessman in you, and I can give you a reason why you would do this fight if you're hating on the fact that Davis is doing it. I'll tell you exactly why he's doing it. And then I can give you the fans' perspective where it's like, yeah, but this ain't the fight we want to see. I understand both, right? But here we go. And I'm going to tell you why you're seeing this fight and why it's happening now and not later. Because it would never happen later. And this is probably the biggest money that Davis can probably get in a fight, because Jake Paul's name and Davis's name together is electric. But if Davis would have fought Roach again before this happens, who wants to see it? Maybe nobody. You know what I mean? But if he fights him now, he can make major money. He can have a reason to duck. It's a very good duck, because if you ducked by fighting another fighter after the Roach fight, now you look bad if you fought a professional boxer right now and you're Davis and you went and picked another guy that didn't whoop your ass, right? But you pick a guy who's not a boxer. It's not as dangerous. If you lose, you don't really lose anything. It doesn't matter, right? You don't lose anything. Nobody cares if you lose to a bigger man in an exhibition. Nobody gives a damn. And you'll make a bigger payday than you can make anywhere else on the planet, right? You're going to get that money, win, lose, or draw. No matter what happens, you can come back to boxing and get another major payday against Roach or anybody else you choose to fight first, right? And if Roach does beat you, you're never going to see those type of paydays again. So now you got two major paydays for the price of one. Whereas if you went right back and fought Roach, you're not going to make as much as you're making fighting Jake Paul, right? At all. And you could lose. And then now you're not making the same money when you actually do have to fight Shakur later or Haney or anybody else. You're not going to make the same money, right? But you do this first, you come back and Roach loses. Now that was a slick duck, and now you could duck Roach again because you don't got to fight him now if he loses the Pitbull Cruise. That's smart business. It's strategies, chess, not checkers. Now, this is what's happening in the business. Now, if Roach loses and he comes back and he has to, and Davis goes and he fights Shakur, he's gonna make major money after this fight. He fights Haney, major money. If he fights anybody after this, he's gonna make some good money. But if you're saying, hey, I only got, who knows how many he has left in him, but let's say you only want to fight 4 or 5 more fights. Jake Paul should be one of them, right? Number first. And then you go and fight, you pick him after that, but you walking off into the sunset with at least, it's the difference between making another $200 million in the rest of your career versus making maybe 100 or 75 million. You know what I mean? That's where he's at right now. That's what these fights mean. That's what the Jake Paul fight means. And he's going to go get a crowd and an audience and a demographic that are not a traditional boxing demographic. He already has his own fans, Davis does. He's going to go siphon some of them from Jake Paul. And then he's even a bigger draw. It's like an avalanche. He's a bigger draw when he comes back to fight, whoever he chooses to fight next. That's only smart business. I would definitely advise him to do it. And that's why it's happening. If you're asking me who's going to win, it's a circus. I don't know. Don't care. I don't think they're all real anyway. I think Jake Paul's claim to fame is the fact that he hasn't lost yet. It hasn't looked horrible against any of the fighters that he's fighting and that he has the handicap against. And I think that's what keeps the gravy chain growing. So I don't think him or Davis want Jake Paul to lose, to be quite honest, because that's how he makes his money. It's WWE for them. You know what I mean? So I don't care who wins that fight. I just know why they're doing it, and it's smart business. You know what I mean? But let me read what some of y'all are saying. So Annie Up says, facts, Ahmad, I want to see Paul in a for real fight. He got the conditioning. I want to see that translate in the ring. No, you don't. Paul is listen. He don't have the conditioning. He's not that. You know what I mean? If he's fighting a true light heavyweight or a super middleweight, wherever he's really supposed to be, he ain't that, bro. He knows that. They know that. That's why he's doing what he's doing now, because he can make money off of his name as well. Why make it real? If you remember Wolf of Wall Street, he's like, never do that. That makes it real. You fight a real fighter, that makes it real. And now when you get destroyed, all this is over. Where you gonna go back to YouTube? No. You do what you're doing, Jake Paul. That's smart business. That's smart business. I don't want to see him fight a real for real fighter because I don't think he can beat a real for real fighter or consistently beat them. He can't work his way up in the ranks to be able to be respected as a real boxer, in my opinion. He can get sanctioned to fight these exhibitions. More power to you. It's good for the sport. You're bringing eyes to boxing. Thank you. I'm in the sport. I'm in the business. I throw fights. Thank you. I ain't mad at him for that.